Today, I am speaking with Gail Neumann, and we are talking about the new anthology that is coming out published by InScribe Press. And it's called Creativity and Chaos, Artistic Endeavors for Trying Times. So this is kind of exciting. It's the latest anthology, and Gail has a poem in the book. Gail's poem is called Drought's End, and it's a lovely little poem. I just read it today when I was preparing for this interview. So are you able to read that for us, Gail?
Oh, yes, I'd be happy to.
Good.
Okay, here we go. Drought's End. Dust clouds rise around my feet as I walk along the forest trail. Even though the summer rain has spent all day gently washing the faces of the rocks on the shore. Fir and cedar branches bow low over my head, filling to overflowing with the water of life, but I am thirsty and dry. I walked softly through the forest, listening to the steady dripping, smelling the musky freshness. An eagle cries from his perch on a snag towering above the forest canopy. I consider his song, and abruptly I stop. Praise for my creator erupts within me and grows until I begin to dance and sing. The trees over my head let go of the rain, and showers of blessing pour over me. I am soaked, dripping, and laughing, and the dry land around me is satisfied.
So beautiful. I mean, not only as a metaphor, so obviously there's the metaphor for the spiritual soul end of things,
Yeah.
but we can tell where you live, right? You live on the coast.
Yes, yes, we always have a drought in the summer, and the trails become very dry, but the rain is so welcome then.
Yes. But just, I could picture it in my mind, like the ferns and just everything, like very, very lovely. And for anybody who's ever been um, on the coast, they'll recognize that description. So lovely. So yeah, tell me a little bit more about just sort of the inspiration for that. Obviously you love nature and
I do, and I try to hike every day, and most often in the woods,
Mhm.
uh, when the weather permits, and uh, I just love it. And as in the spring, everything is so vibrant and green, but by midsummer, everything is dusty and tired looking. And so everybody's craving a little bit of rain. So when it comes, it's such a gift.
Yeah.
And from the metaphor, I find that praising God is often what unlocks his blessing.
Mhm.
When we give him thanks and praise, we come into his presence and then he showers us with love. So that's the metaphor.
You're actually the first poet that I've been interviewing or that I've interviewed in thus far. And it's one of the things I like about this anthology in particular is the variety because, we have poetry, lots of different kinds of poetry, but there's devotionals, there's fiction, some humor, some nonfiction sort of essay type and memoir. So there's a whole lot of a nice variety. I think that, but they all obviously still speak to that sense of uh, creativity. But even if it's more kind of like your poem, like the infilling of God's Holy Spirit, as we surrender to Him, even in trying times.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I think some of this, like the anthology itself, was sort of birthed out of COVID, and that sense of trial that everybody went through then. But that often, our creativity is sometimes fueled by trials. Do you find that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you pour out your heart to God, he sends you inspiration and takes that weight off of your shoulders. And his presence is just so real
Hmm.
when you're talking with him. And that's where so much inspiration comes from. And then when you're out in nature,
Mhm.
he's evident everywhere. I call the trails God's art gallery.
Oh, what a wonderful thing. Yes, God's art gallery. That reminds me, I've seen your picture in your bios, and you're looking through a frame. So that's very apropos. Yes. Yeah. So speaking of, like, what are some other things that you, as a writer, that you've been working on, or just anything else you want to tell us about yourself in that regard?
Well, I'm a regular contributor to a local real estate magazine. It comes out 4 or 5 times a year, and I do descriptive bits about nature in the area,
Mhm.
which I really love. It gives me an excuse to get out there with my notepad and, just jot down everything that I see. And then I can come home and put it together and catch the flavor of the place.
That
And
makes sense to me. Yes, I can. That's very evident even in your poetry. Yeah.
thank you. So that's my heart. And I also write my meditation every day. I start out by writing my prayer, my praise, my thanksgiving to God.
Mhm.
And then I stop and pray and ask Him to respond. And it often leaves me in tears of joy.
Wow, what a wonderful practice. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I've got not many journals full. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can see. Yeah, I'm a journaler myself, and I I hear you there. A lot of journals, but I love that particular practice where you're stop to pray and then say, "Now you speak to me," and allow God to speak to you through um
yeah,
that
it's
expression.
very moving.
That's fantastic. Well, you know what, Gail? It's been lovely to see you again and to talk to
You.
you. And
Lovely to
um,
see you.
I'm, yeah, I'm looking forward to the anthology coming out and
Me too.
seeing another piece of yours. So thanks for joining me today. And I'm going to say goodbye for now, and we'll talk again.